What's up, you guys? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Zoe and today I'm doing a book haul. I think book hauls are one of my favorite videos to do, and I have finally found kind of a rhythm of how I want to do them. I think I'm just going to haul each month all of the books that I got from the month prior. Typically I like to get my books mostly from Book Outlet and Amazon, so that's where this lovely stack of books has come from today. And without any further ado, I'm just gonna jump on in because we have quite a few books to get through. I got 13 books to talk about today, so let's just jump right in. These are in no particular order, so I'm just gonna go ahead and get started. One of the books that I got last month was the sequel to All the Boys I Loved Before, which is P.S. I Still Love You by Jenny Han. I'm really enjoying this series. It's such a perfect summer series. It follows our main character, Laura Jean, who is a girl in high school, and she actually wrote 5 love letters to boys that she has loved, and she never intended to send them out, but the letters ended up getting sent out to these boys, and it kind of creates some chaos for her in her life. I won't give too much more away. The sequel was really good. It kind of took a turn that I wasn't expecting, but I really enjoyed it. I just love Laura Jean's character, and Jenny Han just does such a good job with her characters. Like, I want to be Laura Jean's best friend. I just think she is the sweetest person. She loves to bake. I want to eat all of the baked goods whenever I read these books. It's like ridiculous. I wish Jenny Han would come out with like a Laura Jean cookbook and like do all the recipes to everything that's mentioned in this, because I would get it and I would bake all of the things. It's just a really sweet YA contemporary romance. I'm really liking it. There's one more book in the series and I can't wait to get it and read it. Love it. I'll talk about more of my feelings on this book in my July wrap up, but I really recommend this series if you love YA and if you're really looking for something just sweet and light. And they are coming out with a Netflix movie as well in October that I cannot wait for. The next book that I got in the month of July was Spinning Silver by Naomi Novik, and this is so not something I would typically read. I'm a part of an amazing book club here with just some of me and my friends, and we try to get together about once a month to read a book, discuss it, just hang out and kind of go over all of our bookish feels, and I just love being around people who get me. So we took a poll and we decided to read Spinning Silver for next month, August, and this is not what I voted on. I did pick it up. I have started it. I'm like past 150 pages. It is a big old fantasy book. It is big for me. I mean, this is not that big maybe for some of you, but this is what, a 460 plus page high fantasy book that follows our main character. Her name is Miriam, and she is a moneylender's daughter. Her dad is not very good at his job, so she kind of takes over. She gets pretty cold, but she does the job well, and she gets back a lot of the money that he had originally lended out. That's like a very small fraction of the book, but we follow Miriam, and then we also end up following 2 other female characters who have their own kind of issues going on. There's a lot going on in this book, a lot of characters, but so far I'm very impressed by the writing, and I'm surprised by how much I like it. I'll definitely talk about it. Probably not going to finish it by the end of the month, but look for my thoughts maybe in the August wrap up, because I will hopefully have it finished by then. It's also been told as a Rumpelstiltskin retelling, which I'm sort of kind of seeing now. It's very interesting. There's a lot going on, but it's very good so far, which is a lot for me to say because I was not even expecting to be able to get through the first 50 pages. So pleasantly surprised. Really fun book if you enjoy high fantasy and badass female characters. Like, there's just some really solid characters in this book, and it's very interesting to see their transformations already. The next book that I picked up in the month of July, I am very excited for. I talk about it all the time, and I promise, no, I can't promise that. I'm not gonna promise that I won't keep talking about it. But the next book that I picked up, I'm going to do for the Booktubeathon, and that is Beneath the Sugar Sky. This is book 3 of the Wayward Children series by Shauna Maguire, which you all know I am obsessed with. This is the 3rd book, so I can't give too much away, but it is following one of the characters we have met in the first book, and her journey through kind of this confectionatory fantasy world and how that changed her, what her life was like before and then during, and then book 1 kind of takes place in the after effect of what she experiences here. So I am super excited for this because I think it's set in a world that's like Candyland, kind of lollipops and cotton candy and just like all of the sugary stuff. It reminds me of like Willy Wonka, and that is like dream fantasy world. I'm really looking forward to seeing how this one compares to Down on the Sticks and Bones, which was really pretty dark. This one seems a lot more light, but if there's anything I have picked up from the first two books is that they're both pretty dark. So I'm wondering if this one has a bit of a dark twist as well. We will find out, but I am loving this series. I can't recommend it enough. Go pick it up if you have not started it. The books are tiny and the story is so good. The next book I got is a manga, and that is Dreamin Sun Volume 2 by Ichigo Takano. I got this as well for the booktubeathon, and I'm very excited because for a while I have been in a manga slump and I just didn't want to read any manga. I just didn't feel like it, and now I have just been craving it. So I am excited to jump back into Dreamin Sun. I really liked the first one. It follows our main character who feels very neglected at home, and so she decides to move into an apartment with a bunch of boys, and there's just kind of craziness that happens, like just the kind of situations I think you would imagine if you were a girl and high school girl and you moved in with a bunch of boys. Like they're just like, they're boys. Very funny, kind of classic Ichigo Takano, like just lovable characters. It reminds me of Orange, which is one of my favorite mangas, and I'm just really enjoying it. So definitely recommend if you're looking for a fun manga to read. If you've never even picked up manga, I would recommend this series. I'm loving it so far and I can't wait to read Volume 2. The other manga that I got in the month of July was The Promised Neverland Volume 3. I have talked about this a little bit in previous videos, but I'm really loving this series as well. It's definitely darker. It's not Ichigo Takano. This is a series that follows a couple of kids in an orphanage and some crazy kind of secretive stuff going on that I just cannot give away because I was not expecting it when I first picked up this manga, and then when I picked up the first one and it all kind of happened, I was like, what in the world? So kind of crazy, a little bit darker, but I'm really enjoying it. These kids are just very smart and crafty, and they are fighting to get out of the orphanage, and that's all I'm gonna give away about that. But this is a really good manga. I think it's underrated. I haven't heard people talk about it that much, and I definitely recommend if you're looking for something that's a little bit more action-packed within a manga and a little bit darker. It's really good. The next book that I picked up, it was Sharp Objects by Gillian Flynn. I'm also gonna read this for the booktubeathon, so I won't talk about it too much. The reason I'm interested in reading this now is because I had seen that one of my friends read it and she really enjoyed it. I thoroughly enjoyed Gone Girl like the rest of America, and I have been dying to read another kind of mystery thriller, and there's like a super awesome HBO series starring Amy Adams out now, and so I was like, well, need to read that so I can watch it. So that's why I picked this one up. I'm super excited to read it. It follows our main character who is a reporter in Chicago, and she ends up going back to her hometown to report on a case of two girls that had shown up dead in her hometown. There's this serial killer running amok in the woods, killing little children, and she is going back home to report on it. We really learn a lot more about her character, things she's been through, the memories that come back with visiting your hometown, and I want to know what happens and if she figures out the mystery and who the killer is, and I'm just so intrigued. So I can't wait to read this one. If it's as good as Gone Girl, like, I'm sold. I really enjoyed Gone Girl, and I think I want to read a lot more Gillian Flynn in the future. The next few books I have are from a book outlet haul. I love book outlets so much. If you don't know what book outlet is, you need to go and buy books from book outlet. They have amazing sales. I try and limit myself, which I do a good job. I get about one book outlet order a month for myself, and I try to get as many books for $35 as possible. If you buy $35 worth of books from book outlet, you get free shipping, so I try and keep it like right at that $35 mark and get books that have been on my TBR, which is probably the best part about book outlet, is that they have a really good selection. So I got 7 books for $35. I am very proud of myself, and I really wanted all of these books, so let's dive in. The first book that I got is Angus Thongs and Full Frontal Snogging reading The Confessions of Georgie Nicholson by Louise Renningson. I read this series as a high schooler. I loved this series. Georgie Nicholson is hilarious. She's just funny. She is a high schooler in the UK who is just boy crazy and silly, rambunctious, and gets into the crazy situations, and I just adore that. I also really love the way this series and story is told. It's kind of like in a diary form, which I love reading books like that so much. I fly through them. So when I saw that the first one was up there, I was like, I want to revisit that series. I really enjoy reading books that I read when I was a high schooler because it just kind of, it's interesting to read them now as an adult, and maybe my opinions changed, maybe I love it just as much, but just from a different kind of point of view and different experiences now, and I just really am really excited to read this one. I'm actually going to read it also for the booktubeathon, so I will be talking about that in my booktubeathon vlog, and yeah, I'm excited to read this. It's a really fun book. If you're looking for a fun YA contemporary, this one is one I would definitely recommend. The next book that I picked up in my book outlet haul is Beautiful Broken Girls by Kim Savage. I don't know much about what this is about, but I do know that it's kind of a mystery thriller, maybe not thriller, maybe more like mystery, and it's about a girl who I think was dating a boy, and they had a relationship, and her sister end up killing themselves in the quarry near their town. They end up drowning themselves, and the girl who's dating the boy ends up sending him notes to like travel to these several different places to kind of figure out why she killed herself. It sounds a little like 13 Reasons Why the more I explain it, which was not my favorite. So I'm a little worried now, but I still think it looks kind of cool. I think the cover is like really cool, and it kind of gives me thriller vibes. Like, I mean, I don't know. I'll report back, but this sounds kind of cool. The cover was cool. It wasn't that expensive. The spine is very pretty, and yeah, I think it sounds interesting. I'm intrigued. I want to know what happened, so I picked it up. The next book that I picked up is The Way I Used to Be by Amber Smith. I heard Emma Books raving about Amber Smith and this book particularly, and she really enjoyed it. So the more videos that I watch from Emma Books, the more I realize how much of a similar taste we have in books, so I trust her recommendations very much. This story follows our main character, Eden, who was raped by her brother's best friend in high school, and it follows her in 4 parts: freshman, sophomore, junior, senior years of high school, and how she deals with that trauma. It sounds like rather than telling someone about what happened, she decides to keep it to herself, and because of that she ends up really changing a lot of who she is in high school, to the point of where her friends and family don't even really know who she is anymore. It sounds like a very hard-hitting book, a very intense subject, but I'm very excited. I've seen this book around a lot, and I've just heard really amazing things, and I can't wait to check it out. It sounds really good. The next book that I picked up was The Nowhere Girls by Amy Reed. This is another book that was talked very highly up about from Emma Books. She also really liked this book. This also deals with rape and rape culture. This book follows 3 girls in high school who learn about a girl who had accused the popular guy at her high school of rape, and no one believes her. And so these 3 girls form an anonymous group at their own high school to rally against this sexist culture and really speak out against issues like that. I'm very intrigued to see what this story entails, how these 3 girls rally together to get that accomplished. I just think it sounds like a very powerful book, and I'm really excited, and I feel like I will just walk away from this book feeling pretty inspired. So yeah, I'm excited to read this one for sure. I think it's just going to be a really great read. The next book that I picked up I'm particularly looking forward to starting, and that is The Afterlife of Holly Chase by Cynthia Hand. This book sounds so good. So I think everyone is pretty familiar with the story of Scrooge around Christmas time. The ghost of Christmas past, present, and future come to visit him and like bring him along and show him what his life is like. He's kind of a selfish old man, and this is also kind of the story of Holly Chase. She is a young high schooler who is pretty much awful. Apparently she's just kind of terrible. She ends up dying, and she ends up becoming the ghost of Christmas Christmas Past, part of the Ebenezer Scrooge project up in her afterlife. Every year she has the option to change, and if she changes, she'll no longer have to be the ghost of Christmas Past. However, she does not change, and she continues to be the ghost of Christmas Past, and so I'm just really excited to hear this story from like a different perspective kind of view. I just think it's so interesting that like she'll stay 17 forever if she doesn't, you know, change and get better, and she's stuck as this ghost of Christmas Past. I just think it's really, really cool. I'm intrigued to see the kind of people that she meets and maybe how she hopefully does change at the end of the day. Okay, I only have 2 books left. The second to last book I want to show you guys is Dumplin by Julie Murphy. This is a YA contemporary following a plus-size main character, which I am all about. I honestly don't know much about this book. At first I thought it was about like a girl who wanted to be like a Broadway singer for some reason. I don't know. Reading the back though, I think it's actually more about a girl who participates in her town's local beauty pageant. She's plus size, so I'm very intrigued to see how that's going to turn out and what kind of topics this will handle. As someone who is plus size herself, I love plus size representation. I wish it was done so much more in books, but I will take what I can get for now and we'll just keep pushing for it. She kind of, like with the blonde hair and the curves, I feel like she kind of looks like me. So yeah, that's cool. I don't know. I mean, I'm just all about like characters who are bigger and who are just finding their voice and their confidence despite that. That's something that I am constantly trying to work on, and so if I can get inspiration from even fictional characters for my own life in that, I will take it. I'm excited to read this book for sure. And the very last book I want to show you guys is Royce Rolls by Margaret Stoll. This is another YA contemporary fiction. I honestly don't know again much about this book, but I do know that it follows a girl who is 16 and she is famous because of the reality TV show that her family had been on for 6 years, 6 different seasons, and I think the reality show gets cut, and so it's kind of her life after that. It kind of reminds me of like the Kardashians or something like that. I'm excited to read about it. I actually really, really enjoy the reading trope of like people who have a lot of money and like who are kind of in like that limelight of like they live in LA or New York and they just kind of like, I don't know, I feel weird admitting that. Like, it's not that I necessarily want that lifestyle. I think it's just because I'll never have that lifestyle and I'm okay with that. But like, that's just something that's so far out of my realm of reality that it's really interesting for me to read about. I'm excited to read this one. Reagan from Peru's Project, I love her channel. She talked about this one and she's actually much more of a fantasy reader, but she read this YA fiction and she really, really liked it. So when I saw it on Book Outlet, I was like, yeah, I want to pick that up. I want to read it. It sounds like I'll love it. So I'm excited to dig into this one as well, hopefully in the summer, because it sounds like a really perfect summertime read. Okay, you guys, well, those are all of the books that I have for my haul today. I hope that you all have a wonderful rest of your day. Be kind to someone today, and I will see you soon in my next video. Bye!